I'm Al, and today we're going to be identifying the Phantom Rogue. Do you want to help me with this? The Phantom Rogue is one that has a mystical connection with death, and is able to use that knowledge and ability to become even ghost-like themselves. At 3rd level, you get the feature, Whispers of the Dead. When you finish a short or long rest, you choose a tool or skill proficiency that you are not proficient with, and gain that proficiency. You lose this proficiency when you select another tool or skill of your choice. I really like this ability. Rogues are already known for having an absurd amount of skill proficiencies, so adding another one that you can change around depending on the situation is something that you can get a lot of value from. The only reservation that I have with this ability is that it might be a little situational, because you're going to have to know ahead of time that you will need that specific skill or tool proficiency in order to gain the benefit from it. Though it is a short rest ability as well, so that does help it from being a skill that just sits on the same proficiency throughout your adventuring career, and something that you can actually make dynamic. A circumstance I could see this in is if you and your buddies are about to commit some sort of heist and you need a proficiency with a disguise kit, but you don't already have it. Though that means you do need to have a disguise kit on hand. Just being able to know how to use it in of itself isn't enough. That's why I think the tool proficiencies are a little bit circumstantial, because you're going to need them readily available. However, I overall like this ability, and I do think it has some uses. At 3rd level, you also get Wails from the grave. Whenever you deal your sneak attack damage, you can immediately target a second creature within 60 feet. Then you roll half of your sneak attack dice as appropriate for your level, rounded up, and then you deal necrotic damage equal to the number you rolled on that dice to that second creature, as wails of the dead surround them. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. Now, this is a very cool ability, and it's something that's unique and we haven't seen very much of before. I think the wailing of the dead surrounding around a second enemy is really thematic and cool and absolutely terrifying. And making the rogue's already very devastating sneak attack damage more devastating without the use of an additional action is something that is powerful. However, it is limited because you can only use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So at early levels, at 3rd level when you get this, you're only going to be seeing this ability twice per day, which is something I could forgive because you're dealing even more damage on top of your sneak attack. However, it is to a second creature, and that is typically something you don't want to be doing in D&D 5e combat, splitting up damage between multiple creatures, because if you could deal that spike damage on one creature, it is better than dividing that damage between two. Overall, I do think this is a very powerful ability, and that damage is going to matter. However, I just wish it wasn't limited to your proficiency bonus. I know later on that's not going to be as devastating, but at early levels, you're hardly going to see it, especially if your DM is running multiple combat encounters per day. At 9th level, you get Tokens of the Departed, which means when a creature dies within your presence, you're able to snatch a bit of its life essence. As a reaction, when a creature you can see dies within 30 feet of you, you can open your free hand and cause a tiny trinket to appear there, a soul trinket. The DM determines the trinket's form, or has you roll on the trinkets table in the player's handbook to generate it. You can have a maximum number of soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while you're at maximum. You can use your soul trinkets in the following ways. While a soul trinket is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and constitution saving throws, for your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within the object. When you deal sneak attack damage on your turn, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets that's on your person, then immediately use Wails from the grave, without expending a use of that feature. As an action, you can destroy one of your trinkets no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask the spirit associated with the trinket one question. The spirit appears to you and answers in a language it knew in life. It's under no obligation to be truthful, and it answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free. The spirit only knows what it knew in life, as determined by the GM. Now, I think this is a really cool ability. Being able to snatch that life essence and hang on to it and use it at a time that is most beneficial to you is exactly what I think the Phantom Rogue is trying to accomplish thematically. And I think the mechanics do support it as well. To talk about that death and constitution saving throw advantage, that is very powerful, and I think a Phantom Rogue should be better at those death saving throws due to their personal connection with death. Being able to destroy one of those trinkets to use your Wails from the grave feature without expending one of your uses fixes that last problem that I just had in the 3rd level Wails from the grave feature. However, it comes so late at 9th level, you're already at a +4 proficiency bonus, so you're kind of at the point where you're able to deal it a lot per long rest anyway. However, this added utility and this added mileage of it is something that I can get behind. Now, the last feature that you can use with these soul trinkets is actually my favorite. Being able to expend that soul trinket and have a limited one-time use of Speak with Dead with that very soul that you caught their life essence is something that is really thematically cool, and it has a little bit of out-of-combat utility. So being able to use these soul trinkets in combat, in constitution saving throws, which can happen during combat or exploration. In addition, having this roleplay ability of talking and asking a question to that soul that you caught is something that I think rounds off this feature and makes it not only very powerful, but also very strong thematically. Next, at 13th level, you get the Ghost Walk feature, where you can phase partially into the realm of the undead. As a bonus action, you can assume a spectral form, which allows you to have a flying speed of 10 feet, of which width you can hover, and attack rolls against you also have disadvantage. You can also move through objects and creatures as if it were difficult terrain, but if you end your turn within that space, you do take 1d10 force damage. You can stay in this form for 10 minutes or until you use a bonus action to stop it. And you can do so only once per long rest unless you expend one of your soul trinkets in order to use this ability as part of the bonus action that it already takes. I think this is a really cool ability, and it's one that symbolizes your further knowledge and connection with the world of the dead. Being a bonus action to get all of these benefits is extremely powerful. A fly speed with which you can hover is powerful, even though it's only 10 feet, which is not a very quick fly speed at all. But being able to phase through objects and being able to have disadvantage on attack rolls against you for 10 minutes is extremely powerful. If this feature was only once per long rest, I would still think it was a powerful ability, but being able to use one of your soul trinkets to activate this ability makes it extremely powerful and has a lot of utility both in combat and in exploration. Before, you would have to choose whether you want to use this in combat or if you might need to phase through a wall later or fly up to cross the end of a chasm or get on top of a building for a vantage point. But now you don't necessarily have to decide when the best time to use it is, so long as you have a reserve of soul trinkets, which you probably will have anyway, or until you kill another enemy. I'm also really glad that it builds upon those soul trinkets. I think it was a really strong choice to further use that limited resource that we gained at 9th level. Next, at 17th level in our last feature for the Phantom Rogue is Death's Friend. You get 2 benefits. First, when you use your Wails from the Grave feature, you can choose to deal the necrotic damage to both the first and second creature. In addition, when you finish a long rest and you have no soul trinkets, one appears in your hand to signify your strong connection with the dead. So yet again, we are seeing a later level feature address one of my problems with that 3rd level feature. Now, not only are you dealing the damage across 2 creatures, but you're also dealing that spike damage to that first creature, which is powerful. Now, the second part of this ability isn't something that I think is very strong, or even really that thematic in my opinion. But I am glad that this Death's Friend feature wasn't only limited to the powerful combat ability, because there is a little bit of extra utility you have if you're really hurting to have soul trinkets if you didn't kill anybody, because that happens in D&D. Maybe it's just me, but a lot of the campaigns that I have played in, seen modules of, or DM'd myself, you're going to not have that much of a problem getting these soul trinkets. So I do think the last part of that ability is a little bit wasted. Though, like I said before, I think I am glad it's there. I just wish it was something a little bit better. However, I can't harp on this 17th level ability too hard, because that first creature that you are dealing that sneak attack damage to, if you count the Wails from the Grave damage as part of that, then you're dealing 14 D6 sneak attack damage to that first creature, and then to the second creature, you're dealing that 5d6. And you're doing that 6 times per long rest, plus any times you want to use your soul trinket. So that is it for the Phantom Rogue. If I were to rank this subclass in relation to the other rogue subclasses available in 5th edition, I would give the Phantom Rogue a 4 out of 5 cauldrons. I think this class is actually really solid. The only gripe I really have with it is that a lot of the interesting and powerful features don't come until 9th level and then thereafter. I think that this subclass has very strong theming throughout of it, and I really see the identity of it. The only problem is that mechanically, that really interesting soul trinket feature and resource doesn't come until that 9th level, which is much later than a lot of people are playing D&D. The vast majority of D&D topples out after 10th level, so you're hardly going to be seeing these features on the Phantom Rogues at the table. Now, that's not to totally discredit Wails from the Grave and Whispers from the Dead. However, I just really dig the later level abilities. That's really what it is. But that's not to say it's a bad subclass even in the early levels. I truly think the Phantom Rogue has its own firm seat at the table. So what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with my ranking? I'd love to know your specific thoughts in the comments down below. Did I miss anything? Maybe I'm underestimating the power of those early levels abilities, or overestimating how cool those later level abilities are. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you liked this episode, Ben and I are actually doing this as part of a series. Right now we're going through all of the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything subclasses in a series that we call Identify. I can link the playlist up above there. If you're supportive of what Ben and I are doing, please consider subscribing or even just giving this video a thumbs up. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on your next short rest.